Hi guys, welcome back to Nita Crochets. My name is Anita. Since we have been all over the Lovers Knot stitch this whole entire month, I have a skirt tutorial, dress tutorial, maxi dress, and now it is pants. Okay, these pants are really easy. This is a super beginner friendly project any beginner can jump onto. Before I get into the tutorial, I'm just going to air out my adjustments. When I was starting the tutorial, I used clips from my previous video of the skirt. But for this pant, I worked with a 4mm hook, okay? And my holes are slightly smaller. First, I am going to be working with Robin 100% acrylic. It is size 4 yarn and it is, fast forming. That's why I love to work with this, unlike working with lighter yarn. All right. So for my hook, I am working with a 4mm hook. I try to make my holes smaller for my pants, unlike the holes I had when I was making the skirt. And for this one, unlike the skirt, for the pant, we are making a slip knot and chaining sets of 20. Sets of 20. For example, I had 5 sets of 20 minus 1. Okay? That is 100 minus 1. Okay? So if you're to have like 6 sets of 20, which is 120, you're going to work 119 chains. Why? Because we are going to be working in rounds. And since we are working in rounds, the last chain stitch is usually slip stitched into the first, so it becomes the first. Yes. So because we are working in rounds, so the first stitch literally becomes the last because it closes up our row. All right, so work in sets of 20 minus 1. All right, 120 minus 1, 100 minus 1, 80 minus 1, So just work your chains until you have the number of chains, because the chains that we are working must be equivalent to your waist measurements. Not stretched out to meet your waist measurements, but equivalent to your waist measurements. Yeah? Because once stretched out, it should be in position to go through your hips, and that's what I'm looking for, so that it gives us that fit. All right? And now, once you have all the chains that you need for your waistline, just to be accurate, I will, get my tape measure and put it across. Just to be accurate, let me just show you how it is here. When I folded it, this is what it gives me. So I get 13 inches, and if I multiply 13 by 2, I get 26, and that's exactly the waistline I was working this for. Okay, so I am on track. Please make sure that you do not stretch out your cord to meet your waist measurements. Let it be laid down and let you measure it from down so that it is not stretched. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to get into the first chain stitch that started this cord, and we are going to work a slip stitch to close up our work. That gives us more like a ring. So what's going to happen is I'm going to chain 2, and into that very first chain stitch I'm going to work a double crochet, and I'm going to continue working 1 double crochet into every chain stitch all the way around, because now this is my waistline, so I am just trying to work my double crochets into which my drawstring is going to run. Okay, so let's just work our double crochets all the way around, and then when I get back I'm going to show you how to end the row. So now here we are. I am at the end of my row, so I'm going to get into the second chain stitch of the 2 chains that started the row, and I'll work a slip stitch. So now to start the salmon stitch, we pull up a loop like this, and now I am going to yarn over and pull through this into that loop like that. But remember, I am holding those 3 strands like that. And now I'm going to get into that very same loop we just pulled through, and now yarn over and pull through a loop. So we have 2 loops, and then I'll yarn over and pull through all 2 loops. So that's our first lover's knot or salmon knot. And now we are going to work the second one. Usually it is called a double salmon knot, okay, a DSK, right? Because I am working 2 of them before now I start to skip stitches and all that. So yes, this is it. I do the very same thing like that, pull up a loop, pull through, and then insert my hook into that very same loop and pull through a loop, work my single crochet. So I have double salmon knots. I mean, they're like 2 knots. Now I'm going to count 3 stitches and skip them, get into the 4th stitch and work my single crochet like that. So this is how your work should look like. Now to work my second salmon knot, still I'll pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through that loop, hold it back like that, insert my hook into it, pull through a loop, and now yarn over and pull through both loops. So once again, because we are working double salmon knots, I'll pull up a loop again, yarn over, pull through that loop, and then get into that very same loop and work my single crochet just like that. So we have my double I have my double salmon knot. So I'm going to count 3 stitches, skip 3. I'm going to skip 3 stitches, get into the next stitch and work a single crochet like that. You see how it looks like? I'm having a new tripod. It's kind of like high, a little bit high. I'm still learning to work with it. It's not the same tripod I had initially that used to work well on the sides. So just in case this is not so visible, I am so sorry, but I'm going to try and see that I learn to use it in my next videos so they are much better and more elaborative. So we are going to go ahead and continue working our double salmon knots, just like we have been doing. It's very simple. And there we skip 3, you count them, and then into the next stitch you work your single crochet just like that. So this is what we are going to keep doing repeatedly, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling through that very loop that you just pulled up like that. Get in there and work your single crochet, and then do the same thing for your second salmon knot. Pull up a loop. There is no accuracy in the loops, but honestly the pattern still comes out very perfect, like yes. So you skip 3 and get into the next stitch and work your single crochet. Now you're going to keep doing this all the way around until you have 3 stitches left to end your row. That's where I'm going to meet you and show you how to end the row. Honestly, the other thing I didn't mention in this tutorial, you are going to learn how to work with the salmon stitch in rounds, all right, in rounds. So let me meet you guys once you have 3 stitches left to end your row, and I'm going to show you how we end the row when we are working with the salmon stitch in rounds, all right? So this is how your work should look like. Let me get back and show you how to end the row. Here we are. I have 3 stitches left to end my row, and now this is how you get to end your row. You will pull up a loop like that, yarn over, make that yarn over be of the same length as the loop you just pulled up, all right? Just like that. And I'm going to hold these the loops on my hook, and now I'll insert my hook into the very first single crochet that started the row and pull up a loop to match the length of these other loops. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through all the loops like that, and then yarn over, pull through again. That's like a chain one. And now I'm going to get into the back of these 3 loops and pull through like that, and then I will yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, creating a single crochet. I hope you saw that. So now you can see that I have ended up at the center of my double salmon knot, okay? And that's what we are looking for, to end up at the center of these 2 salmon knots, because if you end up, down, you are going to spoil the whole entire pattern. So now we are going to work our double salmon knot by pulling through a loop and pulling a loop and pulling through a loop, and then inserting our hook into that very same strand of yarn and work our single crochet. And then I'm going to pull up a loop, because remember we are working double salmon knots. So to work my second salmon knot, I do the very same thing. You see that? Now of course I'm just going to skip 2 salmon knots and get into that single crochet that ends the second salmon knot, and I'll work a single crochet in there. Okay, once again I pull up my loop and work my double salmon knot. So it's basically just working your first salmon knot, and then once you have that single crochet like that, then you work your second salmon knot, just like that. The longer the loops that you work with, the bigger your holes are going to be. So once again, we skip 2 salmon knots and get in there into that single crochet of the second salmon knot right there, and there we work our single crochet, just like that. So once again, work your double salmon knots. Yeah, that's the first one. And then pull up and work your second one, just like that. And now once you have that, you are now going to skip 2 salmon knots and work a single crochet into the single crochet of the second salmon knot, okay? And yes, no change of anything. This is exactly what you are going to be doing all the way around. And I'm going to meet you on the very last salmon knot, on the very last 2 salmon knots, so that I show you how to end your row once again, so that you can master this. Because after this, we are going to just be doing the very, very same things, okay? So let me let you guys go all the way around, and I'm going to get back and show you how to end this row. So here we are. You see that? I have come all the way around doing this, and this is how my work looks like. So to end my row, as you can see, I have 2 salmon knots left before the one that started the row. So it's not any different. What I did previously, how I ended my row previously, is exactly how I'm going to end this one, but let's just do it so that you guys can get familiar with it, okay? So yes, I'm pulling up a loop and yarning over, making sure that the yarn over I have made is of the same height as the loop I already have. And I'm going to get into the single crochet that started the row in there, okay? And I'll pull through a loop, make sure it's of similar length as these other loops, then yarn over, pull through all the loops, work your chain, and then get back behind those 3 loops right there and work a single crochet. Pull through, like yarn over, pull through, work a single crochet. You just go behind the 3 loops that are facing you and, pull through a loop and work your single crochet just like that. So yes, same thing as always. Please remember to turn your work to turn your work. Please remember, I forgot for the first rows, yes, but I later did it. So after you have this, once you work your double salmon knot, turn your work to, get started on the next row, okay? Just like that. So once you turn it, you skip 2 salmon knots and you get into the single crochet of the second salmon knot and work your single crochet just like that. And then, just go on and on with the salmon knots that we have been doing. Yeah, all the way around, and just keep doing that repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. You can make a maxi skirt, you can make a short skirt, it can have fringes or not, decision is up to you. This is a one-step repeat pattern and it's very, very simple. So that's how you create your salmon knots and go all the way around, working it in rounds. Once you get here, you do the very same thing that we did when ending the row and just repeat that until you have about 10 inches. I say 10 inches because we need you to have a length of about 10 inches from your waistline all the way down to your crotch area. So until you have that, now because I was using a video from my skirt tutorial, my loop gaps are a little bit big, yeah, but this is the actual piece. You can see that with this one, my loop gaps were small and I was working with a 4mm hook. So I minded my loop gaps because I didn't want to have big holes. Yeah, so this is it. Once you have about 10 inches or more if you're working a large size, but yes, for small and medium, it should be 10 inches. You're going to count all the loop gaps you have on your very last row and divide the number by 2. For example, I have 20 loop gaps, and when I divide it by 2, I marked the single crochet stitch that is in between the 2 loops of the 10th double salmon knot, okay? Starting from my very first, where I ended my row, up to this side. So that means this side I have 10 loop gaps, and this side I have 10 loop gaps. Also, to be accurate, I have 12 rows in total. I think 12 or, yeah. I think 10 or 12, but just make sure you have 10 inches from the waistline to your crotch area. So once you have marked the center loop gap or the single crochet at the center of that double salmon knot, what you're going to do is you are going to work 4 salmon knots. So that's the second one. And now this is the third. And this is the 4th, okay? So now, once you have 4 salmon knots, you are now going to get to the single crochet stitch that you marked, which is the center, right there, into that marked single crochet stitch, right there. We are going to work a slip knot into it, okay? So this means that we have splitted what was a skirt into a pant, because now we have the left leg and the right leg. Yeah, so in here we work a slip stitch just like that. Honestly, the pants version is literally so simple. I never imagined, because this was my very first attempt at it and I got everything right. So from here we are going to chain 1, and into this very same marked stitch we are going to work a single crochet and turn our work. Now we are just going to go on and on with what we have been doing. You are going to work 2 salmon knots or a double salmon knot, and you're going to skip 2 loops. Yeah, so you skip 2 loops and get into the single crochet after the second loop and work your single crochet in there. Again, you work 2 salmon knots or a double salmon knot, just like that. And you're going to skip 2. This means we have worked 2 double salmon knots along the 4 salmon knots we had created for our crotch area. Now once you have that, we are now going to start working along the skirt. what was the skirt, one side of it. So we are going to still be working double salmon knots or 2 salmon knots. So you are going to skip that one and get into the single crochet after the second loop and work your single crochet. Honestly, this is so simple. Like, I just never imagined crossing over the crotch area would be this easy. Work a double salmon knot, skip 2 loops, work a single crochet into the single crochet stitch after the second loop. All right, and this is what you're just going to keep doing all the way around until you get right here when you have two loops left to end your row. Okay, right there, that's where I'm going to meet you, because that's where we started our row. Now, as you can see, I am at, almost at my ending point for this row. And to end my row still, this is what we shall do. We shall pull up a loop, yarn over, make sure the loop is of similar length, insert our hook into the marked stitch. So we skip 2 and insert our hook into the very first stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3 loops, chain 1, get back into the 3 strands of yarn that face you and work a single crochet in them. Okay, this is our first row for our first leg. So to work the second row, we just keep working 2 salmon knots or a double salmon knot like that. Turn our work. Remember to turn your work for every row. Skip 2 and work a single crochet. Skip 2 loops, work a single crochet into the single crochet stitch after the second loop. Okay. Then work a double salmon knot just like this, right? Skip 2 and work a single crochet into the single crochet stitch after the second loop. All right, so you just keep doing this all the way around, and you keep doing this repeatedly and repeatedly until you have the length of the leg that you desire. From my crotch area, I worked about 32 rows, and before I got like the actual length that I needed for my pants. So you just keep doing that, and once you have 2 loops left to end the row, you end the row in the manner that we have been ending our rows, because that's how we work the salmon knot in rounds. All right, so just keep doing that repeatedly and repeatedly until you have your leg complete. Now I'm just going to take you through how to work your second leg. It's also just very simple, very, very similar. Honestly, nothing changes, and that's what I love about this project. I'm even so proud of myself that I went ahead to try out a pants version of this. But yes, to work on this other side of your leg, it's so simple. I'm just going to get my yarn and insert my hook into the marked stitch. This time I'm starting from the marked stitch, right? So I'm just going to get in here on this opposite side of my, salmon knots that I worked for my crotch. So I'm going to pull through a loop and work a chain. Into this very same stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet. And once I have my single crochet worked, I'm now going to work a double salmon knot, okay? Work your double salmon knot by pulling up a loop and, yarn over, get to work a single crochet using that very same strand and work your second salmon knot. So nothing changes, honestly. We are going to skip 2 loops and work a single crochet into the second loop, into the single crochet stitch that comes after the second loop, okay? So you see, when I face this side, it's all the same still. You skip 2 loops and work into the single crochet after the second loop. And yeah, just keep working your double salmon knots. I'm just starting from this side so that just in case anyone worked towards this side, it is easy for them to like really get to see what I am doing, and also get to see that from whichever side you start from, this pattern is just going to remain the same. It's not going to change. So yes, I'm working now towards the crotch. I am working towards the bridge we created for the crotch area. So just keep working your double salmon knots and skipping 2 loops and working a single crochet into the single crochet stitch that comes after the second loop. And you're going to just keep doing this all the way around. Let me just work this with you guys so that when I get to where I want you guys to like see, because that's where I feel like you all need to see how I get past it. That's when I am going to get back and talk. Okay, here I am almost, yes, at the bridge. Okay, now once you have worked your double salmon knot, you're going to skip 2. Now if you look closely, I have this one salmon knot that was kind of short. It's not of similar length as this one, but yes, you can see that I am skipping 2 and working a single crochet into the single crochet stitch after the second loop. Okay, so likewise, now we are just going to end our row just like we have been ending our rows. So you will pull up a loop, yarn over, skip 2 loops, insert your hook into the single crochet stitch after the second loop and pull up a loop, then pull through all 3 loops, chain 1, work a single crochet. Did you notice any changes? No, everything remains the same. You keep skipping 2 loops, all right, 2 loops and working a single crochet into the single crochet stitch after the second loop. Honestly, this is like the easiest pants I have made with a stitch I thought would give me hard time when I go to the crotch area, and it just got so easy getting past it. So you just work your legs until you have the length that you desire. All right, at least I've given you a row on both sides of the legs, so you now know what you need to do to have this kind of length for your pants. Now once you have achieved the length that you desire for your pants, you will just make a slip knot, make several chains for your drawstring and run it through the double crochets that we worked for our waist area to fasten your pants very well and customize your fit. But that's how you work your pants using this stitch. I'm so glad I went past this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.